Hello, Browns fans. Welcome to the Dawgland podcast. I am your host, Anthony Joki. Sorry, we're starting a few minutes late. Jack, how we doing, man? It's great to see you.
I'm doing well, man. I hope you are too. Shout out to everybody in the chat already. As Jake says, if you guys are new to the channel, although if there's any ladies out there, shout out to y'all. But make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. We're getting closer and closer to 200. You know what we got to do the one chip challenge with the Barking Browns podcast to get them to 2,000 as well. But how you doing, Jokey?
We're doing pretty good. Pretty good. It's been a long week of work with this preseason football game in the middle of it, and we are not trading for Will Howard as much as I would enjoy having him on the team. That's just not going to be the case. I do like what Jake said, though. The Dogland goes live at 7, which means Dogland Standard Time means anywhere between 7:15 and tomorrow morning, or no show at all, depending on everybody's internet issues and stuff like that. So it's a wide variety of things that you get with us. Unfortunately, we'll try to be more punctual, but sometimes things happen.
Sometimes things happen, and you gotta roll with the changes.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. All right, so we have quite a bit to get through and discuss about everything that has transpired over the last handful of days, including the preseason game between the Browns and the Bears. I don't remember what the score it was, but that's kind of irrelevant anyway. So, what's more concerning is what we actually saw from the Browns in that preseason game, and all eyes were on Deshaun Watson, Shedeur Sanders. I know you were enjoying yourself at Cedar Point on Saturday. Did you get to fully catch up and watch some of the game?
Yes. So while I was at Cedar Point, I was listening to the game, and then at points where my girlfriend and her and the kids were going on rides, I went and sat down and pulled up YouTube TV and watched. First of all, I was amazed that T-Mobile gave me such great service to be able to watch the game at times, but I did go back and watch everything in the last couple of days to try to make sure I had my full thoughts so nobody calls me out on stuff. But yeah, like I got to sit down, watch the game, and I'm ready to break it all down.
Awesome. Glad you were able to watch this. So let's, because we want to get in here and kind of give what we thought we learned from Saturday. If there's much to gain from a preseason game, but what starting off with Deshaun Watson, like what was your overall thoughts about him getting his first playing time in a game and was it 580 days, 500 plus days somewhere
Yeah,
in there.
actually, it might be
What
600 plus days at this point. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's been a long time.
What was your takeaway from watching him play on Saturday?
So I thought like when he came out, like those first couple drives, I thought he looked good. I know like when you break it down and you see like 4.4 air yards per attempt, a lot of dink and dunk stuff. But here's the thing, like uh I thought he looked good. I thought he looked poised up until the fumble where Austin Barber just got obliterated. Yes, Todd, I know you guys are going to call me out, and I'll own it. If I'm wrong, I'll eat crow. I've said that today. So, but with Watson, like I thought he looked good. I thought he looked comfortable up until that point, and then after that, I don't know if his just pocket awareness just went down to zero, and it looked like the Deshaun Watson we last saw back in 2024 before the double Achilles injuries. But I thought he looked good. I thought he got the ball out quick. I love the way that he was connecting with the receivers. But I think this is what it's going to be with the quarterback position, whether it's Deshaun, whether it's Shedeur. I just don't see it being good enough to get us to these wins. The guys saying we're going to win 10, 11 games. I don't see it, but I thought Deshaun looked good, and I just honestly think he's going to be the starting quarterback. I think he essentially locked it up with that performance. We'll see how things go in the coming days, especially Thursday. That's going to be a big point. But overall, I thought he looked good. I give him a B at least. I thought for a guy that's missed almost 2 full years of football to come back and do what he did in that first half, I thought it was solid.
Yeah, I mean it was interesting watching it because there were some things that in the flow of the offense that I thought looked really decent. I'm not going to say that he was anywhere near Houston Deshaun Watson by any means. I would just say that he was below average to average on Saturday, which when you're paying a guy what you're paying him, is not a really great thing at all. Um, but to have him out there, kind of get him in the flow of the offense. Um, what is very obvious are the skill position players around him is going to make a huge difference in having whether it's him or Shedeur succeed this season. Just with what we saw from KC Concepcion, what we saw from Denzel Boston, Jerry Judy, Quinshawn Jokins, Harold Fan, like they got everybody involved, which is very nice to see. And I think a lot of the game plans will be okay. Let's try to get KC a couple touches early. Let's try to get Denzel a couple touches early. Like try to get these guys flowing in the rhythm of this offense, make some easy throws. Because that whole first series, it was 3 straight runs with Quinshawn. So trying to get the ball into the hands of your playmakers as soon as possible. All whoever the quarterback is going to have to do is just distribute it as best as they can without turning the ball over. The turnovers. The only one that he had, if I remember correctly, was the strip sack on that fourth down, which obviously was not great. The 2 minute drill that they tried to run with, albeit the second string offensive line, was not very good. That was one thing that going into the game, Monken was looking forward to hopefully getting a chance to running was a 2 minute drill, and that was not very a good performance in that aspect as well. So you know it's tough to gauge where everything is in preseason, but at least you saw, I guess, some positive things. But there were still some of the old negatives of what we have seen from Deshaun over the entire time that he's been here since he's come over from Houston, and that is unfortunately still a rough thing to stomach and watch.
Yeah, I mean, after the fumble, there's been plays that have been scoured all over social media where he had Casey Concepcion wide open and threw a ball in the dirt, and it was like, man, is it the like getting close to a getting the feel of a pass rush and like getting hit and all that is that just going to revert back to his like I said, his pocket awareness, like the timing on his throws, like is he just reverting back to what he was in 2024? And you kind of hope not. Like yes, like I saw Jeff say one of the issues was he's not throwing it deep. Like I think today in practice was one of the few times where he was able to throw the ball deep down the field, and it's like he it just did not look good. He looked like a guy that was one of the bottom 10 quarterbacks, and rightfully so. Like, you really hope that, he can build up some confidence in himself and, like, just relax and, like, go out there and be the best he can be. Maybe he's not that good anymore. Maybe it's just a thing where, we have what we have and we're just going to have to ride it out this season. But, like, I saw like a guy that was, like you said, willing to throw it around, spread it around to his weapons, like dumping the ball off to Dylan Sampson, that screenplay, good decision. Finding Boston and Concepcion, good decisions. The one ball to Harold Fannin that Fannin dropped it and it was right on the money. Like that's not a Deshaun. That's Deshaun's not at fault for that. That's Harold Fannin. Harold Fannin should catch that ball. You got to take the positives and you got to take the good and the bad at this point. But like, if it's me, he's probably starting the season, and we just see how it goes. I think he's on a short leash. I do think they want to see Shedeur and see if they have anything in him throughout this 2026 season to make sure that they are for sure like decided on if Shedeur our guy or do we need to go in the draft a quarterback. So hopefully they figure this all out. I think that's the ultimate end game to the 2026 Cleveland Browns is figuring out is the quarterback on the roster or do they need to go into the draft next year and find that guy.
And right now it's 95% the draft next year in terms of finding that guy. If I were to give it any sort of percentage, the thing that I saw with Watson and here I'll read what Jake said. I don't think Watson was good. Honestly, offense did run more efficiently with him than Shedeur, though. I think Shedeur can take the job in the start, but he has to believe to show up and perform, and you believe. We know that Jake has believed in Shedeur since the beginning, ever since we drafted him, our live draft show a year and a half ago. I know he's pounding the table for him all night. So, I did see a clip of Dan Orlovsky breaking down a couple of Watson's throws on ESPN. I think it was on Get Up that they were doing this on. And, he's like, he made a couple really good throws. Like in the flow of the offense, things look great. And then he showed a play where not one, not two, but three guys were open and he took off, which we have seen that a lot in his time here too. So, you saw some decent things, but you also saw the really ugly habits. And you hope that, and I will say that those ugly habits came, in that third, fourth, fifth series that he had in the first half with the backup offensive line. And, none of the quarterbacks after the first string offensive line really had a chance this past Saturday. Shedeur, had a real struggle with the backup offensive line. Dylan Gabriel was running for his life in the fourth quarter as well. So, look, offensive line depth is a real problem. We thought it might be a little bit better with the different things that they've done this offseason, but there are a lot of young guys still in the second and third string, and it really showed. So, we'll see how they're able to respond this week in these joint practices. But let's get into Shedeur here for what we saw on Saturday. He pretty much got the third quarter. What was your thoughts about what you saw from Shedeur in that time frame?
I thought he started off really well. Throw to, I'm trying to think, was it to Gage that went for a first down? And then the ball to Luke Floria was awesome. Floria tried to turn it into a touchdown, just couldn't. The corner had him draped. So those were the two good throws. And then you've seen a lot of the holding on to the ball. There was a pre-snap penalty in there. Just not finding a receiver open. Just a few dink and dunks, and then the interception at the end. We can call it for what it is. I know a lot of people have defended it. There's no excuse on that one. He overthrew the receiver. it sailed over the receiver's head and it was intercepted, and it was just a bad throw. And like you can't,
And Gage was wide open on that too. Like
yeah,
the play worked really well. It was just a poor throw.
yeah, it was a poor throw. Gage was wide open, sailed it over his head. I mean, it was just a bad interception. And you know, I thought he was having a decent performance there, a solid performance, but then that interception was just, it was bad. And then he was done after that. Like I think that led into the fourth quarter, so he got to finish that drive. But yeah, it wasn't good. And I know a lot of people are, upset at the way the quarterback competition has gone. Call it for what it is. Like, yes, Shedeur has had some good days throughout these training camps, but the pre-snap penalties, just not the constant mistakes, but the mistake after mistake when his job's on the line just as much as Deshaun's. It's it is what it is at this point. I still think we're going to see plenty of Shedeur this season, and I feel like we'll get to see what he truly is. But Saturday's performance just wasn't good.
No, it wasn't. And they kind of divulged their plans for this week. Munkin did post game to where it seems like both guys will get a shot at Buffalo on Thursday. And then the plan is to still start Shedeur on Saturday with Watson playing in the third quarter, which I feel like that's going to change. I don't know if if he goes out there and does decent on Thursday against Buffalo, like I don't know if I would even risk putting him out there in in a third quarter of a preseason game with your backup offensive line. Like if you plan on him being a starting quarterback, I really wouldn't prefer to do that. Put Dylan Gabriel out there. I know they mentioned today that Taylor Green's probably going to play quite a bit in the third game, that second half. So there are plans to put him out there as well, just not this week. But what are your thoughts about this quarterback battle in terms of practice this week with these joint practices with Buffalo?
Well, it's only one. Yeah, I think we all kind of
One
wish there
joint
was
practice.
multiple days. No, you're good. We all kind of wish there was multiple, but multiple joint practices lead to fights, as we've seen across the league. If there's a second day of joint practices, like tempers are
Uh,
going to flare. And
Apparently, you don't even need joint practices to have fights.
no, you don't, because we've seen a couple of them so far in Brown's training camp, but they're both going to get first team reps. I do find it interesting that Munkin and Joe Brady agreed that if everything goes according to plan and they get what they want, no starters are going to play. So I wonder what that means for the Browns, obviously, because we know Shedeur is getting the start. We know, I would imagine some of the rookies are going to play, but it just makes me think, Anthony, that this competition's over. Um, unless Shedeur goes out there against Buffalo in the joint practice on Thursday, and puts on a show, maybe it goes a little longer. But Munkin basically said next Monday he's announcing the starting quarterback, and it's why I believe, and there's a few media members that believe it too, Deshaun's going to get the job. And I understand it, and I agree with it, just because when you look at the whole body of work, and this goes with what's happening behind the scenes, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes, but the fact that Deshaun's been rumored the starter since April when they got back to Berea for OTAs, it just makes sense they're going to start the season with Deshaun.
I do love what's going on in our chat right now. First, it was our draft guy Alex Hale talking about the 2027 quarterback class. Jake, March for Arch, Todd, Seller for Sellers, Casey, great to see you in here. Poor for more, subpar for par. I'm sure we could do that's what I'm saying for Julian saying. There is quite a few options for sure in terms of the NFL draft. And we do have our first quarterback big board coming for the 2027 draft class potentially next week. Me and Alex have to finish hammering out those details, and we're not sure if it's going to be a stream video or a standalone video, but we're going to Bayoff or Bailey. That's another good one too.
I need to
Yeah,
come
I
up with
mean,
one for Darian Mensa.
I do enjoy that we're doing the Barking Browns charity league again with Jacob Roach and crew, and pretty much so far every team name is one of these like Seller for Sellers, March for Arch. So that's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I love it. We joined today. Shout out to the boys at the Barking Browns, guys. Go check out their show. It'll be live after ours. But yeah, we have all our team names are the tanking taglines for the 2027 draft class. So it's pretty entertaining for sure.
Mid for Mensa.
Mid for Mensa. Bill, don't do this to me. Do you have one for Mestamaker? I mean, we might as well just get them all
Yeah,
out
I
of the
mean
way.
Messmaker that might be a little tougher.
Yeah,
Sam Levitt too
we have
is another guy.
playmakers for Mestamaker. There we go.
Levitt as well. So I mean, there are a lot of quarterbacks to talk about
Yes.
going into this college football season, and that's definitely something that's going to make this college season a lot of fun to watch. And Ravens for life, like
You're
I
probably
I,
right.
I don't disagree with you. As much as I dislike to agree with a Ravens fan, like you are not wrong. I think with what we saw uh, they them do in this off season, really not do a whole lot in terms of quarterback position. Like the only guy I could see coming back is Gabriel. If you want him to be just your backup quarterback,
That's
you
if
know they
Gabriel survives this year.
yeah, and Taylor Green, like if they want a project guy to sit back there for a while, maybe. But yeah, I could honestly not see Shedeur or Watson on this team going next year.
Yeah, I mean, the quarterback room could look totally different 365 days from now. I mean, um, it's
On
just,
on the bright side, though, the biggest positive from this preseason game were the rookies, Denzel
yes,
Boston, Casey Concepcion, and I want to talk about them a lot because there was a different pace that this offense had when Casey was touching the football this past Saturday. Him as well in the return game, I thought was great to see as well. So we had Quinshon Judkins, Sampson, Fannin last year on the offensive side, Denzel Boston, Isaiah Bond last year too. So this year you have KC and you have Denzel Boston. A lot of pieces for a quarterback to step in here and have success, which is something that me and Kimes talked about yesterday, saying that all these playmakers on the Browns are a lot of fun to watch. They really are just a quarterback away. What was her quote there? So, um, I mean, if one of these guys can figure it out, that's great. But uh, there's definitely the possibility of whoever they draft next year, or whether it's a veteran option, which I find that less likely to come in here and really excel with the different playmakers that we have.
yeah, I mean, shout out to Bill Sparks because he had this about a year ago. Casey Concepcion was his number one wide receiver in the 2026 draft, and the Browns made it a point to showcase him in that first half. Like you said, the return game, a 31-yard punt return. I don't know how much he'll be utilized in the return game because if he's one of the starting receivers, like you're not going to risk injury putting him back there, but he is a weapon. He's that Swiss Army knife that can do just about anything. The way he caught passes from Deshaun, it looked like they had a good chemistry, a good flow going, and it just showed you that electricity that Concepcion displayed at Texas A&M. He displayed it there, and then the end around for the touchdown, I thought that was great. Like it just showed his speed. His elusiveness to get that ball into the end zone. It was phenomenal. Just had a great day. And Denzel Boston made some nice catches as well. So you feel really good about the foundation of skill players the Browns have put together in these last couple drafts. And like Mina said, it looks like we're just a quarterback away. Maybe Shedeur breaks out this year and shows he's that guy. It doesn't look likely, but things can happen. You can see some growth in him once he gets out on that football field this season at some point. But yeah, I mean, you get the right quarterback and MC. It's not Baker Mayfield. Please stop doing that. It's not going to happen. He's not coming back to Cleveland. He
He's
might
going to Pittsburgh next year.
it most likely, but Yeah, if the Browns can find that right quarterback, like everything we've seen so far out of Judkins, Fannin, Boston, Concepcion, hopefully we continue to see that growth of Isaiah Bond. But the foundation is being set for this offense to be good in the next couple of years if they can find the right quarterback.
I did find this or pull some stats last week, and I want to relate it back to Casey Concepcion. You know, we saw the end around that he scored a touchdown on. It's something that Todd Monken did in Baltimore a handful of times with Zay Flowers, and I just wanted to over the last 3 seasons, Zay Flowers had 27 carries for 174 yards and 2 touchdowns. So it's not something that he is unfamiliar doing in terms of the flow of the offense. And, you know, look, whatever you can do to get your skill position guys the football via those jet sweeps, via those touch passes that were the receiver runs right in front of the quarterback on motion, you know, whatever you can do to get your guys the ball, swing passes, like, you know, you got to do. And if they're going to utilize KC in that aspect and utilize Denzel Boston in that aspect, Isaiah Bond as well, um, you know, the sky's the limit for these guys. And I think that that's one thing that Munkin will do with this offense really well is being able to get the playmakers the ball, um, you know, in a variety of different ways.
Yeah, and I mean, this is where one of the negatives about Deshaun could be somewhat of a positive is if he can get the quick pass, like the slant game down. Um, you got playmakers that can turn those little short 4, 5, 6 yard passes into big plays. Not saying that that's probably the formula Todd Monken wants to do on offense. We know he wants to throw the ball deep downfield. Deshaun's got to, shake those nerves off that he might have. And just and rip the ball down the field. Now, if he can't do it, we know Shedeur can. We saw it in the second half, throwing that ball to Luke Floria. But you have these playmakers. You want to get the ball in their hands. We saw what Harold Fannin can do in terms of yards after the catch as a rookie last year. Hopefully, he backs it up in year two. But Boston down the field type receiver. Concepcion's that guy that could be, and Isaiah Bond too. Quick passes that turn into 30, 40, 50 yard plays. Like all that potential talent there. And Dylan Sampson and even Judkins out of the backfield in the passing game. There's guys there. And like I said, if they can just find that right quarterback, whether it's on this roster or in the draft next year, this offense can definitely take off in the next couple of years.
Yeah, and that's one thing that they've been missing in the wide receiver room are these playmakers that once they get the ball in their hands that they could house it, and that's just something that we haven't had in such a long time. You know, you saw that with OBJ a little bit while he was here. Like you get him the ball, you're able to do that. Landry as well. Um, you know, once you get the ball in the hands of these guys, you know, there's a chance that, like you were saying, they can make big plays with it. One of the things I did like to see too was Quinshon Judkins having that explosiveness early in that first quarter. You know, coming back from his injury, definitely a key part of this. But if he's able to have that full explosiveness that we saw before he got hurt last year in this offense, I think that's going to make all the difference in the world. And we saw some from Dylan Sampson too once he got in there.
Yeah, I mean, Judkins, like, it was really interesting because people were freaking out that they went 3 straight runs on that opening drive. It was probably to try to get Judkins into a rhythm. The first couple runs were solid. Them trying to run it on third and short just did not work. The offensive line could not get any push to get Judkins across. But I thought he looked good in those couple runs. Obviously coming back from that injury, he's looked solid throughout camp. And then Dylan Sampson, I know some people tried to write him off per se after his rookie season, but the guy could be a playmaker. I feel like he could probably go start other places in the NFL. We got to remember that the 2025 running back class was pretty deep. But Sampson showed it at times last year. Like he has that big play capability, and he showed it again on Saturday with the 43-yard screen pass. Like he gets out in open space, he's got the speed to turn short yardage potential situations into big plays. So I really feel good about those two running backs. Marshall and Sanders battling it out for that third spot. Interested to see how they go there. I'd probably say Marshall has the edge. If I had to guess, maybe Sanders gets it. I did like him last year and the way they used him in the short game, but overall, liked what I saw out of the running backs for the most part. But it also goes back to the offensive line. They just couldn't get much of a push to help their running backs out. But we saw what Judkins can do last year with a poor offensive line, what the success he was able to have.
Yeah, and there's a couple of things on the offensive line that I wanted to pull out, mention. One was Fano. I thought he did great from what I've seen. Really held his own against the defense. Also, Luke Whippler. I know they've had some issues at center, but he made a couple real nice plays, especially the one on the Samson screen. Did a great job of getting downfield and springing Samson for that run. It failed an earlier time because the play was just blown up by the defender, but he came back and was able to make the play on the screenplay to spring Samson for that big gain. So a couple positives there, but I think Fano, is definitely kind of, I don't want to say flying completely under the radar, but when you talk about Concepcion and Denzel Boston, like obviously those are skill position guys and are more flashy, and maybe not much attention is being paid to their first round pick and their new left tackle. But from what I saw on Saturday, definitely a lot of positives in that aspect.
Yeah, I thought Fano was solid. Like you said, he's kind of slipping under the radar, but he's also not because we know how much emphasis is on the left tackle and how important that is. But if you have playmakers like those guys will overshadow offensive linemen any day of the week. That's apparent. Obviously, there's still quite a few people wishing we had drafted Adrian Peterson over Joe Thomas, and obviously Peterson had a Hall of Fame career like Joe Thomas. But yeah, like Fano's been solid. I really liked what I saw out of him. The fact that Brian Baldinger, who does obviously the Baldy breakdowns on Twitter, shouted out and showed Fano from preseason week one, that goes to saying something. We've talked about it on the pod the last few weeks, the way that Verse has challenged him and the way Fano's been able to step up. Like, it's impressive. Obviously, he's going to go against some great pass rushers in the AFC North throughout the season, but you really feel encouraged by what we saw out of our number one draft pick.
Absolutely. Let's go talk about the defense briefly. The first team defense was out there for one series. They had a 3 and out,
Yep.
and that was it. Like that's exactly what you want to see. The defensive depth definitely a problem, which is something that we've talked about quite a bit going into the season. So definitely a problem there. But the first team defense getting a 3 and out, getting off the field, being done for today. And Jared Verse's interview on the sideline, like, I only got 3 plays, but when you go 3 and out, that's all you need. So I guess that's about as positive as you can get with the defense.
Yeah, without a doubt. Like, just to see the defense go out there, set the tone, show what they've been doing all training camp, and that's being dominant. Obviously you mentioned the depth's been a concern. There was a couple guys that stood out in terms of depth that kind of make you feel good. Obviously, there's still a lot of work to be done for Andrew Berry to try to find some depth at some key positions. But overall, you feel good about the first team defense going out and do their job. But we know how much of a grind the NFL season is, Anthony, and they need some depth in some key spots. And if injuries happen, it's really going to come back to bite us in terms of the long run of the 2026 season.
Who for you stood out defensively other than the first team? Like for me, it was Michael Coates, who had the interception. Anybody else?
You stole him. I'm trying to go back and think, like, other than Coates, I feel like
Miles Harden too, a little bit.
Miles Harden was good. I feel like Nate Evans made a play, if I can remember, and before he got hurt. Obviously, we know how we need corners so badly behind Ward and Campbell, but you mentioned Harden, Coates, like those are guys that might make this roster. But yeah, like I can't recall. Oh, Julian Aquara, like that's a guy that's been around the last couple of years, tends to make an impact in the preseason. And obviously we still need that fourth edge because obviously Zadarius Smith really must like Kevin Stefanski to spurn us to go to Atlanta, but Yeah, Okwara, I thought made an impact. Did his job and beat Jed Wills and got that sack in the second quarter on Case Keenum. So I'm really, I've really
Which I
what
know isn't saying a whole lot beating Jed Wills, but we as Browns fans, like we knew exactly how that was going to go, and we did see that when he
Yeah,
went out there.
so I like Okwara. Like I don't know if he's going to make the team. I think they're going to keep looking for another edge, especially because I think Isaiah McGuire was injured at practice today. We didn't really get a full update, but I heard he was injured. So they really need to find some edge depth, D tackle too, because Mike Hall came back today, and then I heard he was limping at practice. So that's something to keep an eye on. But yeah, they need to find some depth, and I think that was kind of the overall takeaway from the game is that the offensive line needs depth, D tackle, edge, corner. Like Andrew Berry's got a lot of work to do. I'm anxious to see how this roster is going to ultimately be constructed, but depth, 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 and the lack of it is what kind of was the biggest takeaway from this game.
All right, as we are getting ready to wrap up here, if anybody else in the chat has any more comments, we will address them. But yeah, that was going to kind of be my next question. As we go into this joint practice with Buffalo and this game on Saturday, what is the main thing that you want to see? And I'm sure we'll be back over the next couple of days to kind of dive into it a little bit more. But what do you really want to see happen on Thursday? Is where I'll start.
I did see there was this question from MC before I put him in timeout, but um, I'm free Thursday night if you are, Anthony. If we want to do a pod to recap what we saw, what happened during the joint practice, but
Yeah,
all,
yeah, I think that would be a good possibility of that one.
my overall takeaway from like the joint practice coming up is just show up and show that you belong. And that's like our playmakers that we just drafted, like show you belong against one of the AFC powerhouses. Our quarterbacks like go out there and put together some good series, some good like if you're doing 2 minute drills, and especially in 11 on 11, just show like your competent NFL quarterbacks against a Bills defense, which obviously has been retooling the last couple years, but we know they're going to be tough. And our defense, like, go out and show out against Josh Allen and the high-powered Bills offense. Like, I just want them to look like they are a competent NFL team. Yes, they're very young. Yes, they are rebuilding, but go out there and show them what you're made of. Like, don't lay down just because of the Buffalo Bills. They've been one of the AFC contenders for the last several years. Josh Allen, obviously, one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but just go out there and show you belong. Don't make stupid decisions like starting fights, but just go out there and compete, and hopefully they put out their best effort.
I feel like Jared Verse is going to be in the center of a lot of things come Thursday, which I am totally fine with. It's just a different attitude that is out there defensively, and it seems like the other guys, our defense, are really resonating with it. Mike Rutenberg as well, kind of egging on the guys in practice today too. So there's a new attitude defensively, which if that's what it takes to make this defense take another step, I'm all for. But obviously, just get out of it healthy. Don't be causing fights and getting hurt and anything of that nature. Um, I think our defense is going to do a good job because they do have a first year head coach as well over there in Buffalo after letting go of Sean McDermott after all those seasons. So I think the defense definitely has a good opportunity to make some noise on Thursday, which I think we'll see. Offensively, though, I think that's where we're going to obviously struggle, and we'll see to what extent it is. We finally get a really good barometer of ones versus ones offensively versus their defense, and I'm really excited to see all the different reports that come out of that training camp, and we'll be sure to cover that here.
Yeah, I mean, you have like Spencer Fano's going to get to go up against Gregory Russo. Titus Howard's going up against Bradley Chubb. You got Denzel and Campbell versus DJ Moore and Khalil Shakir. Hopefully we see Swesinger, who's been I think they're just like taking it easy with him. Like there was some reports that if it was a regular season game, like he'd be out there. So do we get to see him again in the joint practices, perhaps covering Dalton Kincaid in passing situations for the Bills? Like there's a lot of intriguing matchups with our young defensive talent against Buffalo's offense that I'm looking forward to seeing on film in these joint practices. And yeah, just like seeing how Deshaun and Shedeur go up against their defense and like how are they going to look? Because obviously it's been a bumpy road against our defense. So seeing an opposing defense that's not our own, like seeing how our quarterbacks go up that in that aspect is going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, even their backup receivers too. You got Keon Coleman. They brought in Joshua Palmer.
Yeah,
Drafted Skylar Bell as well. So they have
so
Miko Hardman.
a lot of depth in that wide receiver room, and Trent
Yeah.
Sherfield, who I think burned us when he was down in Miami a couple years back when they played the Browns. So yeah, there's a lot of depth in that wide receiver room for sure.
Um, oh, they brought in Austin Corbett this offseason as their backup guard. So another familiar face out there as well. But yeah, looking forward, really excited to seeing all the reports that come out on Thursday. I'm sure we'll do our best to hop in here and discuss it, and then kind of preview Saturday because I'm sure, depending on how Thursday goes, we'll have a better feel for what we'll see on Saturday,
Yep.
which could even give us more a look at the quarterback situation and if this job is going to go to Deshaun Watson or Shedeur Sanders. We'll see. But we'll be sure to be here to talk about it all. And if you don't have anything else, we can scoot on out of here.
Yeah, man. Appreciate everybody being in the chat. Like I said, if you guys aren't subscribed already, make sure you hit that on the way out. Make sure you smash that like button. But yeah, we've broken everything down and looking forward to Thursday.
Be sure to, after our show, you got about a 12-minute reprieve before Breaking Browns goes live on YouTube. So be sure to head on over there. I know they're going to be talking about the Bills joint practice as well, diving into Zadarius Smith as well. So be sure to give Jacob and Bill, Casey. I'm not sure if Nick's going to be there as well, but go give them a watch, and we will be back either tomorrow, Thursday, one of these days, multiple days. We'll
Yep.
see. Always give Jack a follow over on X at Jack McCurry08. Give me a follow at Anthony Joki. The Dawgland on every platform: X, Facebook, TikTok, etc. All at the same handle, which is the Dawgland. As Jack mentioned, please like and subscribe to our video here, to our channel. Greatly appreciate it. And with all that, going to get in and out of here. And as always, go Browns.
Go Browns.